Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to another episode of the X-Factor Sportz Podcast, Season 7, Episode 4, Real Talk Unbiased Takes. It's your boy, Jay Mondane. Appreciate y'all for tuning in tonight. We got a great show for you. Got a lot of basketball to talk about, of course. We're going to dive in on the pro side and the NCAA side. You are watching on YouTube and Rumble every Wednesday night. And if you want to hear the audio, you can catch it on any platform that allows you to listen to podcasts. So check us out. All right. So let's go ahead and dive into it while we're here on this Wednesday night. First things first, we want to, ladies first, I should say. Diana Taurasi, the great Diana Taurasi, the GOAT, retires from basketball after 20 years of playing for the Phoenix Mercury. To me, she is the greatest women's basketball player ever. All right, we're around the same age. I'm not old enough to remember Cheryl Miller. I know old heads will probably say, oh, you should have saw Cheryl Miller back in the day, USC, yada, yada. Listen, she doesn't have the longevity that DT has, the White Mamba. So she's a GOAT to me. And just the winning alone, she's literally won a championship in almost every continent. That's how great Diana Taurasi is. From all the Olympic gold medals to playing overseas, she's done it all. So even starting from high school, over 3,000 points in high school, which is crazy. You only play 4 years, right? 3 straight national championships at UConn. Her record at UConn, 139 wins, 8 losses, right, in 4 years. 2 National Player of the Years. She won 6 Olympic gold medals. She has the most gold medals of any basketball player from 2004 to 2024. Go, right? And that's in Rio, and that's in Beijing, that's in Australia, everywhere. She's been all over the globe winning gold medals. In the WNBA, she was the WNBA Rookie of the Year. She was a 3-time WNBA champ with the Phoenix Mercury, a 2-time Finals MVP, 11-time WNBA All-Star. She was a 10-time first-team All-WNBA, a 5-time scoring champ. She's the all-time leading scorer in WNBA history. She has the most points. She has 6 EuroLeague championships. So when the WNBA is out of season, she go over to Europe and crush them. She has 6 EuroLeague championships. She has 7 Russian league championships. She has a Turkish league championship for good measure. I mean, I don't think there's an argument who the greatest women's basketball player is. The living legend, DT, the White Mamba, relentless, great player, and basketball fans all over the world respect her as one of the greats. So congratulations to the GOAT on your retirement. Hope you got something lined up. I'm sure you and Sue Bird will get into something down the road. So congrats on that. All right. Over to the NHL, we got the 4 Nations Faceoff. So the championship was on Thursday. So obviously we didn't have it on last week's show. Canada beat the U.S. in overtime. We won the pool play game, but Canada won the game that mattered, I guess, the championship. So congrats to them. Connor McDavid, of course, hit the game-winning goal in OT. They won 3-2. And it was a lot of talk about, should this replace the Hockey All-Star game? I guess, honestly, I didn't even think about it. There was no Hockey All-Star game this year. And this is the reason why. I don't think it should replace it. I think this is a good moment in hockey to try something new, do the 4 Nations thing, get people involved, make it look real competitive. You know, PK Subban was selling the NHL to anybody that would listen, had them all over all the sports channels, which is dope for hockey. But I don't think you replace the All-Star game. And here's why. The skills challenge is always fun to see. I love seeing those dudes on the ice doing those skills challenges. Those look fun. And you also kind of negate the other superstars in hockey. If you're not from Finland or Sweden or Canada or the US, then you don't get to play that weekend. I think the All-Star game is a celebration of all the great players in the NHL. So you got players from other countries, from Russia, from Germany, all that miss out, even other Americans that could make an all-star team that's on these NHL teams. Also, the NHL teams, there's 32 teams that get represented, right? So you want fans to engage with their all-stars. So I think they should bring it back. I think the Four Nations Faceoff is a good moment in hockey, but they need to maybe do that every 4 years or something like that, and change up the countries. But you can't get rid of the All-Star game. There's too many activities, too many things that go on with it. I mean, I think they can let that come back. So, but the Four Nations Face-Off was a success. And congrats to Canada on winning that. It's their sport. It's expected. It's like us going to the Olympics in basketball. What do you expect, right? So good for them. Over to the NHL, though. Let's talk about it. The Tush Push. All right. So there's an unidentified team, which I think is soft as hell, that won't say who they are, that says the Tush Push is unfair and it needs to be banned. All right. So I think that's weak. First of all, put a name on it. Who is this team that doesn't want to see the Tush Push anymore? My money would probably be on the Cowboys because they always got something to do with something. Jerry Jones is one of the top owners in the league, so he has a lot of pull. He's probably trying to say some campaigning for it to be taken out of the league. Plus, he plays Philly twice a year. That's just my guess. I don't know. But I think it's weak that they don't want to come out and say it. So if it was easy to do, every team would be doing it, right? And the only reason it's called a junk play is because these teams can't defend against it. It's like when y'all was in school, the big kid that was playing basketball, he post up everybody and shoot. They say, you can't post up no more because you too tall. If you can't stop it, it ain't his fault because he's good at it, he or she, right? Same thing here, right? They've figured out a way to make it an effective play to get first downs and touchdowns. They have the personnel and the skill set to do it, right? And if you need any evidence, go back to the AFC Championship and see the Bills trying to do it against the Chiefs unsuccessfully, and then go to the Super Bowl and see how the Eagles really did it and made it look effortless, right? They almost did it from 2 yards out, it looked like. So I don't think they should ban it at all. You're professionals, learn how to defend it, or get the offensive personnel so you can do it too, or find the defensive personnel to stop it. It's a copycat league. The same thing that teams do to try to defend mobile quarterbacks. You get leaner, more athletic defensive linemen to combat the mobile quarterback. Find some bigger, stronger, heavier defensive linemen to stop the tush push. Simple as that. So this not fair, I'm taking my ball and go home attitude in the NFL. They need to cut that out. Don't be mad because they won a Super Bowl. They didn't win the Super Bowl because of the tush push, all right? They won a Super Bowl because they were the best team. So get over it, all right? Then lastly, in the quick news, NBA. I know y'all saw that game last night, man. Luka finally got to play against the Mavs. It was in LA, so probably wasn't as big of a story because he didn't go back home. However, the GM, Nico Harrison, was there, so everybody got to watch Luka do his thing. Luka had a triple-double. The Lakers did win. It was a fun game to watch. Luka damn near had a triple-double at halftime. Kyrie went crazy. I think Kyrie ended up with 38, almost to say, Mavs fans, we know you are hurting that Luka left, but I got y'all. It's going to be all right. So Kyrie went and showed out. Clay even got hot. He turned back the clock in the fourth quarter, hit like 3-4 threes in a row, and almost to say, I'm here too. It ain't just about Luka and Kyrie carrying the torch. And the refs let them play. It almost felt like a playoff game, like a first-round playoff matchup. Refs wasn't calling ticky-tack fouls. Those are the best NBA games. You got marquee matchups. Refs let them ball. LeBron did what LeBron does. He took over in the fourth quarter, whether it was assists, key plays, scoring, catching lobs. It's crazy what he's still doing at 40 years old, but LeBron was LeBron in the second half. And to be honest, the Lakers won this game. I mean, they had almost 60 rebounds, and they had over 50 points in the paint. So it was kind of underwhelming to me, honestly. I'm more excited about this game in April. And I hope Gafford, AD, and Lively are back because the Lakers ain't going to get 60 rebounds once their front line is back. and they're not scoring over 50 points in the paint. So when everybody's got all their horses, hopefully in April when the rematch comes, Luka goes to Dallas. I'm gonna be excited to see that matchup. That's what I'm waiting to see. But it was a dope game last night. Lakers win at home. We'll see how that goes in April. All right, so that's the quick news. You can always catch the X-Factor Sportz Podcast on YouTube and Rumble every Wednesday night and on all audio platforms. All right. So let's switch to this. Joel Embiid. This dude has literally missed half the regular season games that he could have played in his career. All right. Joel Embiid been in the league for 11 years and has missed half the regular season games. He's missed over 400 games. Y'all have heard me allude to this before on other episodes. So the question is, should Joel Embiid retire? Think about it. Like I said, 11 seasons. He's missed the first 2 seasons, he missed the first 2 seasons of his career. He got drafted in 2014. He didn't even start playing until 2016. So he came in the league hurt. He had a hurt back coming out of KU. This was at 19 years old. Okay. He's only played 19 games this year because of injury. I already told y'all he's missed over 400 games due to injury. And the Sixers have been trusting the process for over a decade. And what has it gotten them? A bunch of tanking, a Ben Simmons draft, and then they let Ben Simmons go. Joel Embiid, and then you pay him almost $300 million, and he's only played half the games. Oh, but he gets you to the playoffs. Yeah, but his record is 29-30 in playoff games. Can't get past the second round. So what are you really getting from Joel Embiid? And he might shut it down this year. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. He needs surgery. So is it time to start talking about retirement for Joel Embiid? With all of that going on, his body is breaking down at the age of 30. His body has never been right, to be honest. You miss 400 basketball games in 11 years, your body ain't right. Like, you're not physically fit to be a pro athlete. That's what I think. So is it time for him to retire? Now, of course, he won't retire because you don't want to leave that life. The money that he's getting is ridiculous. He just signed a 3-year extension over the summer before going to the Olympics. And so that completed his contract for 5 years, $299.5 million. Ain't nobody retiring with that on the table, right? But think about him as a basketball player. If you're looking at that, obviously I'm not going to take no money out of nobody's pockets, but damn, like, this dude, he don't play basketball. So what are we doing with him as the 76ers organization? And let's get into Daryl Morey, the GM. You the one gave him this contract, knowing his injury history, because you cater to the superstars so much. And to do a 5-year, $299.5 million contract for a guy who's literally missed half the games in his career is insane. So the Sixers did what they did with the process, all the tanking over the years. You let Ben Simmons go. That didn't work. They're literally ruining Tyrese Maxey's career as we speak. The Paul George experiment didn't work. He came for the money because the Clippers wouldn't give him an extra year. So Daryl Morey, of course, I'm going to give you the money, right? They're not going to make the playoffs. They've lost 8 straight games, 9 out of their last 10. Hell, they're probably losing right now to the Knicks as we speak. So if I'm the owner of the Philadelphia 76ers, Daryl Morey let James Harden and Tobias Harris go. They're playing terrible basketball with this roster. And the Joel Embiid situation. Does that sound like a GM that should still have his job? Now, I'm not one for firing people. Again, I don't want to fire nobody. I don't want to take no money out of no pockets. I don't want to take food out of nobody's mouth. But if this is a business and it's about results, this is a results-driven business. If you have somebody that's worked at your company for 11 years and has missed 4.5, 5 of those years overall, and a general manager who has put together something that does not work and has squandered almost $1 billion in cap space, in salary, Do either of them deserve to be at that organization? That's all I'm saying. So you think about it. Somebody that's been hurt as much as Joel Embiid, is it diet? Is it just his body type? Is it a workout regimen? Does he need to get surgery? Like, they allowed this dude to go play in the Olympics, knowing that he was hurt. They still, the general management allowed him to go play in the Olympics to piggyback on a gold medal, because I think they would have won without him. They could have put another center in there and still would have got the same result. A younger, more athletic, healthier center that could have went over there and got the same result. So why do you allow him to do that? He comes back, and then in his press conferences at the beginning of the year, he tells you, I'm not playing the second of back-to-backs. Excuse me? He telling you before work even start, yeah, I'm taking PTO every other day. He is the only athlete I've ever seen that has unlimited PTO. This is ridiculous. So for me, I know he's not going to retire. Financially, you won't walk away. Nobody will walk away from that. But as an athlete and as a basketball player and for his health, I think he should definitely consider it. You guys let me know what y'all think about that. He doesn't play at an elite level anymore. So I think from a basketball standpoint, he should retire. Be sure to comment, like, share, subscribe. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube and Rumble, hit that subscribe bell so you can get into these conversations and comment every week. But that's where I'm at with Joel Embiid. Okay. Whew. We got that off our chests, right? So let's get into y'all favorite segment. I haven't been putting it in here every week like we used to, but I put it in when it's apropos. And we're going to get into that bet that segment. All right. So this weekend, we got a 5-leg parlay, and we have ranked NCAA basketball all weekend. So let's go ahead and dive into this. And we're going to start with the number 1 team in the country, Auburn, versus number 17, Kentucky. All right, so this spread opened up at 7.5. I'm going to take Kentucky to cover the spread. They are 1-0 against the spread at home and when they're underdogs. And then they're also 6-2 against the spread when they're outright underdogs. So the trend tells me that they will play well at home. It's almost close to senior day. I think they got one more home game after that. But you got the number 1 team in the country coming in. You're trying to make a run. You're trying to position yourself somewhere in the tournament. I think they play hard. I'm not saying they'll win, but I think it'll be a close game. So I'm taking Kentucky to cover that. The next one, number 6, Alabama, number 5, Tennessee. This might be the game of the weekend. 2 SEC teams ranked neck and neck with each other, trying to make moves to try to get that 1 seed. I'm taking Tennessee at home for the money line. I got them straight up. Bama, I think, is a 1.5-point favorite, but Tennessee is second only to Mizzou in the SEC in home wins, so they take care of business at the crib. Bama's number 1 on the road in the SEC games, so something's got to give here. I'm going to go ahead with Tennessee. They got the seniors there. The way Chaz Lanier has been playing these last couple games, I got Tennessee winning outright. Zakai Ziegler, that dude, I feel like Zakai Ziegler's been in college for 7 years. I call him the Black Ziegler because every Ziegler I know is a white German dude. He the only black dude I know last name Ziegler, but he been balling ever since he been in Tennessee. So I got them winning on the money line. Next one, we got number 12, Texas A&M, number 3, Florida. 2.5-point spread is what this opened up at. I have Florida covering. They are the favorites. And especially after losing to Georgia last night, they're probably going to bounce back. They probably pissed off. They're playing at home. They're 18-6 against the spread outright and 13-1 at home this year. So they've been peaking at the right time. Didn't really hear much about Florida because of their schedule, the non-conference schedule, but in the SEC, they've been doing their thing. So I got them beating A&M. A&M ain't that great on the road. They're 4-4 and 4-5 or 5-4 against ranked teams outright. And they're 4-4 on the road this year. So give me Florida at home. The fourth one, number 22, Arizona against number 9, Iowa State. Even though Iowa State just got embarrassed last night, to Oklahoma State on the road. I got them at home. It is hard to win at Hilton Fieldhouse. For anybody, as KU fans, they find a way to lose games up there every year. So I got Iowa State winning straight up. Arizona's never played there before, so they're going to get a brand new dose of true road game when they go out to Ames, Iowa. There ain't nothing to do out there in Ames, Iowa, but bail, hay, and watch basketball. So I got Iowa State winning that game. They 14-1 at home, so the record proves it. Especially, like I said, after getting embarrassed by Oklahoma State, I'm going with them to win. And then the last game, late night, Saturday night, Oregon State at number 23, St. Mary. Okay, this game I'm taking the under. So I went over-under on 130. I'm taking the under on this game. It's senior night for St. Mary, but they have been under 9 of their last 11 games when it comes to over-under, right? So good defensive games or they can't score enough, whatever it may be, 9 out of the last 11 games they have been under. So I'm going with the under in this game. And Oregon State holds teams to under 69 points per game. So it'll be a defensive battle. Last time they played, the over-under was 29 or 129, and they were under by 17 points. All right, didn't even come close to the over. So I think it'll be somewhat the same. Oregon State trying to make their way into the tournament. So I think it'll be a hard-fought battle. So that's what we got for the 5-leg parlay. We got Kentucky covering the 7.5. We got Tennessee on the money line. We got Florida winning, covering the 2.5. We have the money line for Iowa State. And then we're taking the under 130 on Oregon State and St. Mary. So be sure to put your bets in wherever you are across the world. Go to your favorite betting sites. Put those in, that 5-leg parlay. Go ahead and win you some money. Remember, this is not a betting site, so you can bet at your own risk. Just letting you know how I would bet on these games that I give to y'all, all right? Now, we're going to segue into, we're already in college basketball, but we're going to get into the power rankings. So before we get into March Madness, we talk about NCAA rankings on the men's side. So we got a top 10 power ranking that we want to go through. And it's not about record. It ain't about the AP poll or any of that. It's about how these teams have been playing, how good they look against their competition, all of those things combined. So it's going to look a little different than your AP poll that you look online and see, all right? So here's what we got for our top 10. At number 10, congrats to Mizzou, man. Shout out to them. I got some Mizzou fan friends, so they'll be probably happy to see them on this list, but it is much respect to them, and they've earned it, so congrats. Top 10 in the nation in scoring. After yesterday, they've scored over 100 points in 4 games, and I think they got 98 in another game. So they can put the ball in the hole against anybody, multiple wins against ranked opponents. Mizzou is 18-1 at home in the toughest conference in America, the SEC. So they're a sleeper team for me in the tournament just because of how they score. I think they can play with anybody. They're showing you in this conference that they can play and score on anybody. So I think they're scary, man. I wouldn't want to run into them in a tournament playing like this. So I got them at number 10. Number 9, Michigan State. 8 quality wins this season according to BPI. So that's the Basketball Power Index. And they're the best team in the Big Ten. I think they're tied for the same record with Michigan, but I think they beat Michigan head-to-head. Been playing a lot better since Jace Richardson. That's Jason Richardson, for my basketball fans. If you remember Jay Rich, his son, Jace Richardson, is a freshman at Michigan State. Since they've put him in the starting lineup, I think he's over 14 points a game. And he's been balling. They're trending up since putting him in. And they got a chance to be a 2 seed, actually, if they went out in the Big Ten. I can see them as one of those 2 seeds in the region. So Michigan State. At number 8, Texas A&M, they're holding their own, I would say. Again, best conference in America. As you see on the list, there is a bunch of SEC teams on here because the SEC has been dominant across the country. They might get 12 teams in the tournament easy, maybe even 13. So A&M holding their own. They got 9 quality wins so far, and Their strength of schedule is in the top 20. The offense is ugly, though, sometimes. They can't find a bucket for some reason. Games get tight. But the defense keeps them in every game. So that's why I got them here. They got quality wins. They got over 20 wins already. So got to keep them in the top 10 for power rankings. At number 7, I'm actually happy to see this. St. John's. I remember growing up, St. John's was good. So Rick Pitino turned this thing around. I remember he was going crazy on TV last year about his players were soft, yada, yada, yada. They must have heard him because they're one of the best teams in the country. RJ Luis is probably going to be an All-American. All right. Best team in the Big East. They beat the 2-time defending national champions twice this year already in UConn. So they took over the conference this year. Top 10 rebounding team in the country. So if you get into a dogfight with them, it's going to be a tight game. They cover the boards. I like St. John's at 7. Number 6, Alabama. We just talked about them in the Bet That segment. Number 1 scoring offense in the country. They put up 111 on Mississippi State yesterday, crushed them. They're number 2 in rebounding, but they give up a lot of points too. So that's kind of why it's hard for me to put them higher in the top 5. They don't play good enough defense. They give up 80 points a game. So they got a monster schedule to finish out the season as well. They got to play ranked teams the rest of the way. Mississippi State was ranked. And if they keep it going, so it can go one or two ways for Alabama. If they win out, they can find themselves potentially getting a 1 seed if they win out against these ranked SEC schools. But if they lose, it can push them to a 2 or even a 3 seed because of it. So they got to learn how to play a little bit more defense. You can't give up 80 points a game and try to win a national championship. Doesn't work that way. But I got them at 6 because of how they've been playing up to this point. At number 5, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I actually, when I was doing this list, I had Florida at like 3. But after that loss yesterday, that was an upsetting loss. Let's call it what it is. All right. They lost to Georgia last night. I couldn't have them above Tennessee or Duke after losing that game. So, but they still are 13th in scoring. They're still top 4 in rebounding. And their non-conference schedule wasn't that great. But once they got into conference play, they start balling. So I got to give respect to that. They did play the games and they won the games that they won. So we put them at 5. They've been beating everybody in the SEC. And just that tough loss, it kind of hurt them. So I had to move them around a little bit last night. At number 4, Tennessee kind of jumps over Florida for that reason. And they get a slight edge over Alabama because of the defense. All right. They only give up 60 points a game. Huge game at home against them on Saturday. That Tennessee, I told y'all I got Tennessee straight up against Alabama. Zakai Ziegler, like I said, been hooping all year long. He making his last year, his best year. And Tennessee looks great as long as they stay away from Kentucky. For some reason, I don't know if it's that Kentucky-Tennessee rivalry. Kentucky got them twice this year. But everybody else, they've been holding their own or beating. So Tennessee at 4. Duke Blue Devils, I got them at 3. Kind of mad that Tyrese Proctor hurt his knee. We got a couple key injuries over there, even though they dog walked Miami last night, 90-67 or something like that, 97-60, beat them by more than 30 points. I love this team. Obviously, I'm a Duke fan. They can score. They can rebound. They got the number 1 lottery pick in Cooper Flagg. But who are they doing it against? All right, in my over 30 years of watching ACC basketball, this might be the worst year for the conference. This is the worst lineup of teams that I've ever seen in my life in ACC when it comes to basketball, right? So Duke is doing what they should be doing. They're winning games. They only got 1 conference loss. They're beating the hell out of people. But for me, I can't put them at number 1 or 2 because of the competition. It's a power ranking, right? So will they have enough callous? Will they have enough toughness, enough scars on them, war wounds when it comes to the tournament? Because they haven't played anybody. They haven't been challenged enough. So that's what worries me about them. If they run into one of these SEC teams that's beating each other up in the SEC, and Duke's been playing in this soft ACC. So that makes me nervous as a Duke fan. But again, we real talk, unbiased takes. I got to have them at 3, even though they're the number 2 team in the nation, and they actually beat the number 1 team in the nation, gave them one of their losses. Outside of that, this ACC schedule they have has been real weak, but they've been doing their thing. We talk crazy about them if they weren't winning, so you got to give them credit for winning. But in a power ranking, it's not as powerful as what these other 2 teams are doing. So Houston, I think they're a lock for a number 1 seed. They are one of the best defenses in the country. They're about to win the Big 12 conference again. They've been in the Big 12 for 2 years, and guess what? They finna win the Big 12 conference 2 years in a row. So they just walked into the Big 12, walked in their house, KU, K-State, all these teams has been living in there, went in their refrigerator, took the Kool-Aid out, got their favorite cup, sipped on something, sat down on their couch, put their feet up, turned the TV, changed the channel, ate a sandwich. Like that's what Houston has done to this Big 12 the last 2 years. Just walked up in here and said, yeah, this is ours. We're going to go ahead and take that. So shout out to them. If they close out the regular season, check this out. If they close out this regular season with wins, they will have 2 separate 10-game winning streaks this season, which is crazy to have. You think college basketball, they don't play that many games. They play like 27, 28 games before the tournament. They would have 2 separate 10-game winning streaks. So powerful, right? So that's why they're at number 2. They got 8 quality wins, and they have a better strength of schedule than Florida, which is what I alluded to, why I had to bump them out, right? At number 1, can't deny these guys, the Auburn Tigers, number 1 team in the nation for a reason. They only have 2 losses. Crazy how things work out in sports. The SEC is the best basketball conference in America, and the Big Ten is the best football conference in America. I remember that was flipped around over a decade ago. But here we are, Auburn Tigers, SEC, the best basketball conference. They're top 10 in scoring, and they hold teams under 70 points. So they do it on both ends of the floor. This year, there hasn't been a dominant team that may have something to do with NIL, transfer portal. There's a lot more parity. But with that, you still got to show respect to the teams that's doing their thing, and Auburn is one of those teams. So with a combination of 1 loss in the SEC, 15 quality wins, according to BPI, a number 5 strength of schedule, you got to consider them the best team in the country. They held it down. They beaten everybody that's in front of them. They're probably going to win the SEC regular season. I don't know if they'll win a tournament because, anything can happen in those. But Auburn Tigers are the number 1 team in the power rankings. So go ahead and take a look at this last list of the power rankings. For my listeners, we got Mizzou, Michigan State, Texas A&M at 8, St. John's at 7, Bama 6, Florida 5, Tennessee 4, Duke 3, Houston Cougars 2, and the Auburn Tigers at 1. So y'all comment. Let me know what you think about this list. If I left somebody out, if somebody else should go in. I know I thought about Wisconsin going in there, but with what Mizzou has been doing in this conference, I had to show them some love. Iowa State was in here, but after you get beat by Oklahoma State last night, you got to get out. So that's why we got the top 10 power rankings the way we got them. Cool? Okay. Before we get up out of here, again, I always want to thank y'all for tuning into the X-Factor Sportz Podcast and watching it with me. Be sure to click that subscribe button on YouTube and Rumble. And when you watch the show all the way to the end, you always get the treat of the 2-minute warning, okay? So tonight, we're going to talk about a closed hand can't give or receive. What does that mean? So most people are stubborn by nature, and they want to get things done on their own. I'm one of them. And it's hard to open up and allow people to help you, to give help to somebody else or receive help. The way I grew up in an environment where you couldn't cry if you were a boy, right? You couldn't talk about your feelings. You had to be tough. You couldn't show any mercy. You couldn't show any emotion, right? So that toughens you up. It makes you close up internally, emotionally. So it's hard for you to let people in. But when you do that, you kind of hamper yourself from achieving things. you can't learn more about the world. You can't learn more about other people if you have a closed fist, metaphorically, right? So what do? When you open up your hands, you're opening up yourself to learn more, to love, to feel things, to appreciate things, to allow people into your life, to be able to receive and give to others. So that's why I say a closed hand can't give or receive. Then you just find yourself lonely. But if you open yourself up to things, you grow as a person. So just think about that when you are in situations. Am I keeping myself closed off from this thing? Am I afraid to receive? Am I afraid to give? Giving is better than receiving, as they say. So you can't do that unless you open your hands up. So be sure to open up your hands, open up your minds, your hearts to people, give, receive, and that's how the world becomes better. All right. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to the X-Factor Sportz Podcast, Season 7, Episode 4. If you like the gear, you can always catch us, check the QR code, scan it, or you can hit me up if you follow me on social media, DM. The hoodies will be here next week. You're going to see me in one in Episode 5 for sure. All color sizes, let me know. I got hoodies for my people that already ordered some. I appreciate y'all supporting. They will be coming to you when I get back in town. And thank y'all again for watching the X-Factor Sportz Podcast. We are ending Black History Month with this episode, but just because Black History Month is over, don't mean you need to stop celebrating Black history. This is Jay Mondane of the X-Factor Sportz Podcast. I'll see y'all next week. Peace.